working up here. He working? Good man, good man. Good night to the good people of Silver Sands. I see you. I see you. Are you obviously accustomed to Silver Sands? Can you go on a vest? So the cold don't have you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to be here to speak on behalf of Wilfred Abrams. Good man. But I'm not only here to speak on behalf of him, I am here to remind us that as we come to the end of this campaign, we are in the home stretch. And in a home stretch, you know that some may feel that it is there. But have you ever watched a 100-meter sprint? And just before the race ends, that sprinter who tries to pull up and doesn't bend forward is the one who invariably will lose. So that I have come tonight to speak to you, the good people of Silver Sands, about what is necessary. Here too, darling. About what is necessary Let him pass. Let him pass. Let him pass. Oh, let him pass. Cease and settle. Cease and settle. Peoples, let us get back to our business. The Dems are trying to distract by every means, even if it is driving through the meeting. So cease and settle. Because I promised you in Oystins last night that I'm going to remind people about what is at stake and what is available to you. Because it is easy to get caught up with the theatrics and the drama of the campaign. Don't worry, those are my people from Bushall and Jackson, so don't worry. It is easy to get caught up with the drama and the theatrics of a campaign. But you need to remain focused. Because what is at stake is not how good we sound up here, or how pretty this campaign may look, or how good the other side may sound. What is at stake is how you are going to live and how you have lived in the last few years. And the truth is that 3 weeks of platforms can sometimes dull the senses because you get carried on a momentum. But what we cannot forget is that for the last 4 years in particular, you have had to balance in a way that you have never had to balance in your life before. And up to today, we had a motorcade, and after I came off the motorcade, there were more people because there's another firm in the harbor that is about to send home people by the end of February. And I haven't spoken in Christchurch yet about the fact that the people at Royal Bank of Canada called in all of their employees and spoke to them and told them that it is likely that 90 to 100 people will also have to go home. Now, if in the midst of all of this, you are continuing to see the same trend, 16,000 people have lost their jobs in the last 4 years. I didn't say 6,000. I didn't say 1,600. And 16,000 people means that there are about 48 to 50,000 people. Because on average, 3 to 4 people are affected when people lose their work. And you have had nothing coming from the platform of the Democratic Labour Party telling you about how they are going to stem these losses, about how they are going to stop the bleeding in this economy. And this has nothing to do with the people who are farmers. This has nothing to do with the people who are fishermen. This has nothing to do with the people who own their own businesses. Because if people have less money in their pockets, the people who have the money to spend will in fact not be there anymore. And those businesses, from the fishermen to the farmers to the business owners with mini marts such as opposite, will be affected because people simply will not have the money to spend. We've already seen it with construction. How many tradesmen all over Barbados are without work? How many tradesmen have to tell the children mother that they cannot afford to give them any money this week? How many tradesmen are now looking to do anything they can find? Painters doing labor work. Masons looking to do whatever they can do. Simply because the center has fallen out. And we have said to you, look, there are some decisions we got to make. A man that can drive well can move a 40-foot container through a small road and don't hit nothing. But a man like Frondell Stewart and Chris Sinclair, who cannot drive well, will knock down everything in sight when they move the 40-foot container. And that is exactly what is happening in Barbados tonight. And you are being asked to be distracted. Tomorrow, Beanie Man. No, there ain't nobody who like entertainment like me. I manage bands. I love music. And I saw Frondell call the election so I can get to go to Carnival. But that's not the issue. Because as much as we love music, you cannot afford to be intoxicated and distracted from the reality of your existence. And my fear is that unless we get a reality check, or as Bob Marley would say, check out the real situation, we are going to have people who will opt out or who will make the wrong decision, not knowing that there's another 5 years to come. And let me tell you where I'm going. It is good to give a man or a woman work. It is a good thing. But when you seek to rush and send people to clean the side of the road and drains for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then when the 2 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks gone, the people sucking salt again, it is an act that is unworthy and it is deceptive. And what is happening in this constituency, I know people in the ministry, and people were being called to ask, who can we send on vacation so that we can send in somebody for 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Why? Because they feel that the people are so gullible that if you get a 2 week around election time, that you will have a sense of euphoria and a sense of joy, and that you will forget the 4 weeks of suffering, 4 years of suffering, and give people the vote. Just like, and I'm warning you, all like Heather and the rest of one up here, come Monday or Tuesday, look for Dennis Lowe walking with the people from National Petroleum Corporation. Because even though he knows that they cannot get the gas up here at this point, he plans to walk with them to give the impression that he is going to get natural gas for people. And you know, in a very real sense, we have to start talking, not us on this platform, but you, about what is acceptable from a politician in terms of behavior and in terms of language. And the bishop, the Right Honorable Sir Wilfred Wood, yesterday wrote an article in The Nation. And in that article, he spoke about the importance of truth. I believe that if you can give a man or a woman a job, give them. But do not cause people to believe that you are doing something for them when you know all you're doing them is giving them a little taste. And you know that from the Caribbean Development Bank, from Standard & Poor's, from the IMF, from Moody's, every single one has said you cannot continue to raise public expenditure in Barbados. That you are collecting less taxes. That is what the governor of the central bank has said. That don't mind we send tax rates in the air, we are collecting less taxes. And therefore, you have to wonder that where has this bounty come from all of a sudden? That you can take on people willy-nilly, temporarily, without any understanding of how they will be paid. Now, we could decide whether we want a short-term fix. And the last time I checked, anything that gives you a short-term high, not good for you. Or we want something for the long term. That we want to work with people. When we were the government, did you have money in your pocket? Do you have money now? And are we in a position to say that because you give a man 2 weeks' work that he's going to have money in 6 months' time? I want us to stop and get a reality check. Because the tactics of campaigning, I have been a campaign manager for 4 elections. And I know, therefore, what obtains from the time the writ is served and elections are called. And I'm saying to you tonight, the good people of Silver Sands, why is it that we are not hearing about more jobs that are long term? Why is it that the farmers up on the hill still have problems? Why is it that the fishermen are not being serviced, whether at Oystons, or why is it that fishermen are still being arrested in Tobago? And why is it that even when they are arrested, luckily Bobby Clark and I have struck up a relationship with a lawyer in Tobago who has represented the last set of fishermen on each occasion that they've been arrested in the last 2 years. But you don't hear the voice of Dennis Lowe. And no amount of crocodile tears from any platform can replace the substantive work that you have to do for people. Let me get real. Check out the real situation. Every time you go in to buy goods, you are paying more and more and more. And you ask yourself, why is the cost of living in Barbados rising 3 times as high as anywhere else in the Caribbean? It's not about the price of goods from outside, but it is the policies. If you are paying for light and electricity high, everything that we do uses electricity. But where is the money going? The money is coming to the Barbados National Oil Company so that they can beat their chests and make $50 to $60 million a year in profit for the last 4 years. But what happens to you? And trace what happens to goods when they land in Barbados. They're going to the port. And if they need to be refrigerated, more electricity, therefore more cost to the person who is storing. They then leave the port and they go in a truck. They're using gasoline or diesel. And you are paying 17 cents more per liter. Not to mention the increase in excise taxes or the increase in VAT. You with me? When it leaves the truck, it going to the wholesaler. When the wholesaler storing it, more electricity charges that are high. That's the third place. Then it leaves there and it goes to the retailer in a truck. More gasoline and diesel charges and more taxes on you. And when it gets here, that poor shopkeeper or mini mart or supermarket now paying increased electricity costs because of the price of fuel oil and increased VAT. You understand how much of your money is being siphoned back in taxation to the government? And the body who has the control over it, either taxes or profits to be knocked to the oil company, is your government. And when we say to you, therefore, that the first order of business, Star, is to be able to bring down the price of electricity in Barbados, that by April, you should be able to see a light bill that is less VAT, less fuel price, and that we should also be able to bring down the VAT on food, so that when we tell you about money in your pockets, we've costed it out. It is going to cost us $12 million to give you back the VAT on electricity. We can afford that, but you can't afford carrying that cost every month. When we tell you that we are going to bring back down the VAT on food, you remember that Sinclair came and told you it was for 18 months. And then he come back and tell you it is to until when? Well, you will send the message on Thursday that until when has come, and it is time for the Barbados Labour Party to take the people's future in its hands and to give them relief. You have hotels up this side. You remember that Loveridge used to be complaining all the time about tourism in Barbados? Do you know, and this is a fancy word, this is not high science. In 2008, we started to see our earnings from tourism decline. And last year, we earned $550 million less in tourism than we earned in 2007. Silver Sands is known not just for fishing, but for the tourism. There are people who get work around here. When tourism is doing well, people are working. When tourism is doing poorly, people are out of work. And when one of the largest voices in tourism says, I cannot make it anymore under this government, I have to close down my hotel. Do you understand what is happening? And there are a number of reasons. Because first and foremost, most of the businesses in tourism need to be able to borrow to fix up the room and make it a little prettier, because you can't keep charging high prices if your product is substandard. Who can go and pay for something at $250 US a night when the room is not even worth 50? So they have to keep fixing it up regularly. But to do that, they have to be able to borrow money. And like you and me, when we go to the bank, we have to show the bank what our expenses are and what our income is. And if the hotel, in showing its accounts, cannot show that its expenses are low and its income is reasonably high, the bank is going to say, I'm sorry, I cannot lend you the money. And you're into a vicious cycle. And what the manifesto of the Labour Party says is that we have to jumpstart this economy. You know, when a car stops and the battery low, what you do? You go and get the jumper cables and jumpstart it if it is automatic. And if it is manual, you push it and you jumpstart it. And we believe that because the price of money that you borrow is too high for too many of our hotels and our businesses, that we have to create a national reconstruction fund. Because believe you me, we are going to have to reconstruct this economy like if a hurricane hit it. We're going to have to reconstruct it like if a hurricane hit it. When you lose 25% of the money you earn from tourism, when this economy is smaller than it was 7 years ago, it is as if a hurricane came through and took off the roofs, mash up the windows, mash up your water supply. Same way you got to rebuild in a hurricane, you got to rebuild after Hurricane Frundell and Hurricane Dems. Got to do it. And therefore, when we create this National Reconstruction Fund, it is going to be different from operating like a commercial bank, because it will have lower interest rates. In other words, instead of borrowing at 9 and 10%, if you borrow $100,000 at 10%, that interest is $10,000. If you borrow $100,000 at 5%, that interest is $5,000. And everybody knows there's a lot of difference between $5,000 and $10,000. And imagine if you were borrowing $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. But you will not get back jobs in this economy unless you are prepared to deal with the productive sectors, unless you are prepared to put tourism back on its feet, unless we are prepared to fix the markets and pass the legislation so that our fishermen, who are some of the best in the region, can now start to export to Europe. We can't do that now. We can't do it. But you can do it from St. Vincent and Grenada. Wanna feel small when you hear that? Grantley Adams took the fishermen from Silver Sands, from Oistins, from Tent Bay, all around Barbados, 6 men's. And in the 1950s, they were using sail. And Grantley took them and gave them engines. And then when Bree came, in the 1970s, Bree St. John, who loved out here, loved fishing, loved fisheries. Bree St. John said, look, let us get the ice boats and give people a chance to be able to expand the capacity to fish, to go out for longer, to catch a little more. I had the good honor of representing the people of Barbados against Trinidad. And I know what it is to fight in the context where Barbados has the most sophisticated fishing fleet, but it has not been modernized for 40 years. And I feel that the young people in Silver Sands and Tent Bay and Pile Bay and Six Men's deserve a chance to be able to get the most modern equipment. You should not have to waste diesel looking for fishing ground. You have technology today that can tell you through sonic technology sounds exactly where the fish are gathering. And if you can use that technology, you will use less diesel, which means that you will make more money when you catch the fish. And you feel that the only body we should be putting money into is big hotels and big projects? I believe that I am in public life to make sure that everybody at every level gets an opportunity in this country. Big, small, middle size. Black, white, Indian. Because that is the Barbadian way, matching opportunity with dreams. And the opportunity we need to be able to give is to take about $20 million, buy the boats and the technology, lease it to the fishermen. I said so as far back as the St. John by-election. And when you do that, after 10 years of leasing, the boat can become theirs. If they get catch with drugs, luck gone, boat take back. But give the people a chance. If we can't take a chance on our people, God, tell me who will. And that is why I believe Wilfred Abrams is good for the people of Christchurch East. Because he understands that you got to take chances on people. And you know, the time has come for us to move away from people who believe that they can do a little magic at election time. They can put a little black cloth at election time. They can cause you to forget your woes and to come into this dreams. And then when you wake up next week, licks in your backside again. Back to reality. Nobody to come out to meetings with. Light bill hurting your head when it come in at night. Can't know how you're going to feed to send school your children. Don't know how to make ends meet. Well, you, the good people of Christchurch in general, and Silver Sands, we can only do it if we do it together. One by one by one. I came to Oystons last night to tell you that the people of St. Michael have sent me with a message. We have had enough of them. Not because we are bees, simply, but because we know that there's a better way and a better tomorrow. And because we believe the Labour Party has a team, it has a record. It has shown from this platform what it can do, what is the roadmap. And we have a leader who has that track record as well. And we believe that together, we don't have to agree on everything, but together, you and us, we can make it a better day. And that while weeping may endure for a night, joy, joy, joy cometh in the morning. Give Wilfred Abrams, a young man with a long and bright future in public life. I believe that you will see him as one of the future people in this country in the Labour Party who will be to the Labour Party what Liz Thompson and myself and Reggie Farley and Owen Arthur and all of us have been to previous generations, what Johnny Cheltenham and Bree St. John was. So ladies and gentlemen, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Give him a chance. I am here to tell you that I will walk with him on that journey every step of the way. Wilfred called me this morning. Wilfred calls me whenever he has a question. And I will walk with him because I believe in him. I can't tell you that I believe in a man who once said in a debate with me on CBC TV that he had a doctorate from a theological college and that when we checked the college, regrettably, we did not see any evidence of a doctorate being offered by that college. Give Wilfred that chance. Good night and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barbados is in good hands.